Welcome back, everybody, or if you're new to the channel, welcome. If this is your first time checking out the channel, or if you've been watching the channel and you just haven't yet, I encourage you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos that I have coming out. This is a video that I talked about in my last couple videos that I was going to make. Today, I'm going to just break down, kind of talk about how I grade a movie or rate a movie. What all goes into that process, what the different aspects are that I look at when I'm watching a movie to grade it, and how I rate it. I thought you guys might find it interesting, just what all goes into what I think about when I'm watching a movie or grading a movie for a review. This is what it is. So these aren't in any particular order. One's not more important than the other. I just kind of jotted some thoughts down, different aspects and things of what goes into it. So we're just going to jump into it. First thing that I look at when I'm watching a movie is characters. Does the character have a good arc? Is there character growth, and is there development for that character? Or is the character just there? A lot of times that'll bring a movie down if there's not, if the character is not wrote well, or there's not a good direction, or there's no development for the character, they don't change at all. That'll bring a character down. Are the characters likable? Or if they're a villain, are they likable as a villain, or do you hate them as a villain? Do you relate to the character? A lot of that goes into it. If you don't relate to a character, you're usually not as drawn to that character or even like that character as much as you would a character you were related to. So characters, character arcs, character development, that's all important. If that's not there, it very much hinders the movie or TV show, whatever project you're watching. The next thing is plot. Does the plot make sense? Does it feel natural? Or does it feel forced? Does it not make sense? Do things just happen for the sake of the movie to happen and progress the story? Or do things actually make sense in the plot for things to make sense? A great example of that is the new Naked Gun movie. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, they make a joke about this in the Naked Gun movie, and it's a running gag through the whole movie. But what it is at the beginning of the movie, there's a bank heist, and they steal something in a safety deposit box. And what's in the safety deposit box is the PLOT device, plot device. A lot of movies misuse a plot device. They'll throw something in, just, they found this here, or this is here, and it just kind of poof out of thin air, and it wasn't natural. It didn't really make sense for the story, for the plot. They just did it to progress the story, and a lot of movies do that. But does the plot make sense, and does it feel natural or forced? The next thing is pacing. Does it flow well? Does it have a good pace? Does it not flow well? Does it drag? Does it feel boring? Do you lose interest while you're watching it? Does it feel disjointed? Does it feel like they edited the movie and it just doesn't, things feel out of place, scenes don't fit where they feel like they should fit? Is it all over the place? That all goes into pacing. And I mean, movies are shot, they're not shot the way that you watch them. Scenes are shot in all out of order, however scheduling, locations that were available, actors that were available, all that goes into shooting scenes. So scenes aren't shot congruently from start of the film to the end of the film. Sometimes they'll film the end of the film first before they film the beginning, or vice versa, the middle, beginning, end. So it's not in any order. That all happens in the editing room in post-production. So a lot of times if a movie doesn't have a good pace, or it feels off, it's because it wasn't edited very well and things weren't placed properly in the movie. With pacing, I'll even throw in, because it's part of the editing room, but um, if you see something and it's not right, it'll instantly take you out of it. Me and my wife are watching Manifest right now. We're on the last season. And there was a scene on the last episode we were watching that took me out. And that was because it shows one shot of one of the characters, and he has a tattoo on his right arm, and his sleeve is rolled up on his right arm, but not on his left arm. And you see him walking, and in the same scene, you cut to the other character that he was talking to, back to him, and the tattoo is on his left arm now, and his sleeve is rolled up, and his right arm is down. And then he continues to walk. It pans to the other character, back to him again. Now the tattoo's back on his right arm, and his right sleeve is rolled up while his left sleeve is down. I throw that into pacing just because it's editing, and that should have been caught in the editing room. And someone should have said, oh, we need to fix that because the tattoo's jumping arms, his different sleeves are being rolled up and rolled down. And things like that really take you out of a movie. The next thing I have is the writing and the story. Is it wrote well? You can always tell if a movie's wrote well or if it's not. Sometimes things just don't, like if it's a joke, sometimes the jokes don't land. To me, it wasn't really wrote well. Or sometimes the actors just can't really grasp the writing. Again, and then that goes into the acting for the characters, or the characters wrote well. Sometimes characters aren't wrote well at all, and they're just wrote there to be there, and they serve no purpose. Or do they serve a purpose, and do they have a character arc? Does a story progress, or does a story feel like it just gets stuck in a rut and doesn't go anywhere, doesn't progress, just drags on? Another great example of this, if you've been watching my channel, the second season of Tracker. The story did not progress with the second season of Tracker. They hit a standstill, and it drug on and on and on and on and on for episodes and episodes and episodes before they ever got back on track with the overarching story they were trying to tell. Does it capture your attention? Which, again, that example of Tracker, it did not catch my attention. It lost my attention. I was ready to stop watching that show because they had no story and it was not progressing. You want your story to capture attention. You want it to keep the audience's attention. You don't want them losing interest and leaving, because then they're not watching your show. So you have to keep the audience captivated. This kind of goes with characters and the writing a little bit, but the acting. Is the acting good? Is it not good? An example of bad acting I can tell you that I saw from a movie recently was the Last Ride movie. The acting in that movie was awful by everyone. I didn't think there was decent acting by anyone in that movie. It was all very soap opera acting. Just was not good. Is the acting believable? Does an actor make you feel like they're that character, or are they just phoning it in to get a paycheck and going home at the end of the day? You can always tell a great actor versus a bad actor. Like for great actors, I would say Robert Pattinson. He got cast as Batman, and I remember when he got cast, it was all over the internet. People were all worked up. Oh, Twilight Boy's gonna be Batman, But what people didn't know was, after he'd done Twilight, Robert Pattinson had actually done a lot of independent movies. And if you have seen any of them, he is actually a tremendous actor. I think Good Time was one. He was great in that. And there were several others that he did that he was just a good actor, because I watched several of those and I thought, I can believe he can be Batman. Even if he doesn't have the size and the stature that you would expect Bruce Wayne or Batman to have, he's believable as the character. Tom Cruise as Reacher is another great example. You know, in the book, Jack Reacher is a 6'5", he's a giant. Tom Cruise is like 5'7", but he's such a great actor that he makes you believe he's that character. Um, like I said, was it phoned in? Is it cringy? We've all seen movies where you're just kind of, they didn't do a very good job with that. Next thing would be setting. Does it make sense for what the film is about? Is a setting in the right location? Does it look right? Time frame. Does it feel like a location? Feel like a character in itself? That is a lot of movies. Sometimes, if a movie's in a location, it just doesn't feel like it vibes very well. And sometimes locations can even be a character itself. Again, I'm going back to the Batman. Gotham City very much felt like it was a character on its own in that movie because of the way Matt Reeves built that world and had that setting and the way it just felt like you were a part of that world and that it was a character itself. If it's a fictional location or a fantasy location, can you believe that it would actually exist? Star Wars, great example of this. George Lucas built all these different planets and galaxies, but in that world, you feel like they could actually exist. The Marvel Universe, they have the different planets, different galaxies. Anything sci-fi, really, they have different things, but sometimes they feel more believable and that they could exist versus some others. I've seen some cheap fantasy movies on Netflix and stuff, and they don't feel believable that they could actually exist. The next thing I would say, cinematography. This is one of my favorite things that actually sells a movie, especially if it's a big scale movie, sci-fi movie, action movie, whatever. Does it look good? Or does it look bad? Are things shot? Is it too dark on some things? Is it too dark where you can't see? Again, an example of that would be this last season of Reacher. He has that big fight, and they end up going in the water, his fight with Polly, and it's so dark in the water that you can't even see the fight or what's going on. You can't tell what character is which character. So that, was bad cinematography to me. Great example of great cinematography. And this, some people don't agree, a lot of people don't agree, but Zack Snyder, he has a way with a camera to capture a scene, and you just feel like that scene is alive and that you're in that scene. CGI goes with cinematography. If there is CGI, does it look good? Does it look cheap? Do things look wonky on it, or do they look, good? The new Fantastic Four has really great CGI. The scenes in space, the Silver Surfer scenes, Johnny, their powers, that was all really great CGI. A lot of movies you can tell where the CGI is rushed, and a lot of that's because in post-production when they're editing, they don't have the time they need to really get everything crisp and the images to look right in the way they're intended to be, so they rush things just to push the movie out, and they don't get the best CGI. The Flash, that movie had bad CGI. That was probably some of the worst CGI I've seen in a comic book movie recently. Do the special effects look good? And that's not even for a sci-fi movie. That's just for any movie where there's action, whatever. A lot of times you can tell if there's explosions. You can tell that it looks fake or it doesn't look good. I remember when you used to watch like TV movies, you'd see explosions or something, and you could tell it didn't even look like it was, the explosion was even on that set or there. It looked like they just put it over the screen, basically. Or like some car crashes, they don't look real, or the car looks different because they edited it after the fact and they put a different scene on it so the car could have damage and then not damage and then damage. Practical effects If they're using practical effects, do they look good? The new Spider-Man movie, he's practically swinging. I'm anxious to see how that's going to look, as opposed to green screen and CGI. How's it going to look with him practically swinging? Another thing I look at, directing. Does it feel like there's a strong sense of direction in the film that you're watching, or does it just feel like everything is discombobulated? Is everything all over the place? Or does it feel like there was good leadership and direction on the set? You can kind of tell when things feel out of place or not done right. My example with the tattoo on the arm, switching arms and the sleeves, like I would put that on directing. When they were filming that, the director, everyone on set should have been like, why are we switching arms with the tattoo? Why are his different sleeves rolled up? So clearly there wasn't a good direction on that forefront. Attention to detail, you have to have that for directing. Again, another great example I think of that is Zack Snyder. He puts in the homework. He does everything. He has an eye for that, and the attention to detail that he puts in to his shots is just it's on another level. I think you may not agree with me. Two more things: music and score. Does it add an emotional range or depth to the scene or what you're watching? A couple examples of this are Duel of the Fates in Star Wars. That last battle with Duel of the Fates in Episode 3 between Obi-Wan and Anakin, that scene would not be as epic as it is if it did not have that theme and that score behind it. It wouldn't be the same. Superman's theme, that wouldn't be the same if it wasn't there. And a lot of times the music adds the emotion to it. The actors can give you the performance of the emotion, but the music is what really sells it and makes you feel that. Does it add to the suspense or the drama? It kind of goes to that thing like, when you see the scene where, if you're walking down a dark alley, if there's not that music there or the score there to make you feel like it's a foreboding situation, you wouldn't think it was a foreboding situation. You would just think somebody's walking down an alley. But if they put that music behind it, then you have that. Jaws. Donna, 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 and then the shark attacks. Without that music, it would just be, shark attack. There wouldn't be that suspense, that lead up to it. It's a Wonderful Life, at the end when everybody comes back to give George the money, and they all start singing Old Lang Syne, I think is how you pronounce it. That's an emotional scene that gets you. Without that song, it's not as emotional. Guardians of the Galaxy was great with music. That was a great score for that movie, and it felt like it fit. Sometimes songs are put in movies and they just don't seem like they fit for the situations or what's going on, and that can take you out. Last thing I have that goes into how I rate a movie is rewatchability. Will I rewatch it again? Would I watch it again with someone else to see their reaction? Would I watch it because I want someone to see this movie because I think it's that good? Or would I not rewatch it? Would I never rewatch it again? The Last Ride movie I went to see, I will not watch that movie again. I thought it was that bad. There's some movies out there like that I just do not want to watch again, that they're that bad. So that would bring down a rating if I didn't think I would rewatch it or want to watch it again. A lot of the latest MCU movies, I don't think they have a rewatchability account. The first couple phases did, phase 1 through 3, but phase 4 through 5, 6, whatever we're on now, I don't think a lot of them have a rewatchability. I've seen them in the theaters, and I don't feel like I need to see them again. Now, the first few phases, yes, I do rewatch those movies, but the ones they've been putting out that haven't been the greatest quality, I don't think they do have a rewatchability. Once or twice, and that's really about it. Um, but that's all that goes into me rating and grading a movie, and how I come to up with my gradings, or how I would rate a movie. Like I said, they're in no particular order. I don't consider one higher on the level than another one. Just characters, plot, pacing, writing, story, acting, setting, um, cinematography, directing, music, score, and rewatchability. That's everything that really goes into how I rate a movie. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from that. I hope now you understand better how I critique and go into a movie. I hope you enjoyed how I discussed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If there's anything that you would add to my list, or what you think about my list. Again, if you haven't yet, or if you're new, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that I have coming up. It'll alert you and give you a notification. You can also follow me on social media if you like. My Facebook is my name, Payden Colvin, Padencolvin. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube, The Chronicles of Colvin. You can find me over there. You can follow me on both of those. And thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. And we'll see you on the next video.